I want to praise, I want to praise, I want to praise, I want to praise. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. Yeah. I want to serve, I want to serve, I want to serve, I want to serve. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. Without my King. I want to sing, I want to sing, I want to sing, I want to sing. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. Without my King. When it's over, when it's said and done, He will be here, the one from which we come. Said from the beginning, oh, so when we leave, He will be here. So in Him I believe. So I sing my praise. I want to praise, I want to praise, I want to praise. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. Without my King. I want to serve, I want to serve, I want to serve, I want to serve. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. Without my King. I want to sing, I want to sing, I want to sing, I want to sing. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. I won't survive without my King. I want to serve, I want to serve, I want to serve, I want to serve. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. I want to sing, I want to sing, I want to sing, I want to sing. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King.
My name is Cohen Michael Ben Levi of the Hebrew family of Guyana. The aim of these dissertations is to cause the true house of Israel, who have been without knowledge of themselves for countless generations, and who are now being awakened by the God of the universe to better serve our Creator. It is our hope that by reacquainting this awakening black nation with their laws and former history, it will hasten our return to our true identity, thereby acknowledging our ancient ancestors This in turn will allow us to know our Father's God and prepare us to stand together to meet the terrible day of the Creator that He is now readying for all mankind. May He cause all your minds and hearts to understand. Shalom Alaikum, Shabbat Shalom Lakim. Do hope and pray that the Holy One of Israel has blessed each and every one of you and your families. We pray and ask the Creator to be with all of those who are sick or in one way or another suffering troubles. We always ask, as the Psalm says, deliver all Israel out of all of their troubles. That is our hope and our prayer, even from the Levitical priesthood. We would like to thank everyone who has been a part of our series up until this point. Today, this summary presents the substance and or the general ideas that we've presented thus far. Our statements or accounts will be covering the main points that we've made thus far. And one of the main points that we've made is that the Bible is a history book and it has a timeline. And so to prove this, and then we're going to go into some footage on it. We just want to, again, start at this point. And again, we'll probably take the prophet Nahum in the first chapter before going into that historical point that we're going to make in the book of Chronicles. In the book of Nahum, the first chapter, we find these words, and then we're going to give you footage. And what is the purpose of this particular chapter? This prophet Nahum speaks to the point that the Creator is a jealous power, an avenging power, and He's a power that recompenses His adversaries. You know, often we hear that God is good, but He's more than just good. He's the God that does even the bad things. As Proverbs says, He is the one that does good and evil, even for His own purpose. He's created all of these things. In Nahum, the first chapter, and I'll tell the reader when to end out, making this point of the Creator's power, His jealousy, and then we're going to see it in a very practical manner.
The burden of Nineveh, the book of the vision of Nahum the El-Koshite. Jehovah is a jealous and avenging power. Jehovah avengeth and is full of wrath. Jehovah taketh vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies. Jehovah is long-suffering and great in power, who will by no means clear the guilty. Jehovah in the whirlwind and in the storm is his way, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. He rebuketh the sea and maketh it dry, and drieth up all the rivers. Bashan languisheth, and Carmel, and the flower of Lebanon languisheth. The mountains quake at him, and the hills melt, and the earth is upheaved at his presence. Yea, the world, and all that dwell therein. Who can stand before his indignation? And who can abide in the fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are broken asunder before him. Jehovah is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knoweth them that take refuge in him. But with an overrunning flood, he will make a full end of the place thereof, and darkness shall pursue his enemies. What do ye devise against Jehovah? He will make a full end. Trouble shall not rise up the second time. For though they be like tangled thorns, and be drunken according to their drink, they shall be devoured as stubble fully dry. Out of thee he came forth, that deviseth evil against Jehovah, that counseleth wickedness. Thus saith Jehovah, though they be full strength, and likewise many, even so shall they be cut down, and he shall pass away. And though I have afflicted thee, I will afflict thee no more.
We can end
And
it
now,
right there. We want to thank our reader Derek, for bringing that precept. And what is the main point in this prophecy of Nahum? He speaks to the power of the Almighty. When you think of God, do you think of power? And what power would you think of, and what do you conceive in your mind as being that power? In this particular prophecy, it says fire, earthquakes, or whirlwind, which I know are tornadoes and storms and hurricanes. And we've had so many this year, more than ever in history. This year ran out of the English alphabet, and they had to name the storms and the hurricanes with Greek letter alphabets. Quite ironic that the Greek alphabet, again, part of Greek writings, is part of what the hand of Yah is again showing in simple signs, even through these storms today. Let's look at some footage to see the real power of the true and the living God.
Just 8 months into the year and endless disasters have taken place, COVID-19 being on the top of the list. Millions of people lost their lives to the pandemic, and the world faced a global lockdown leading to an economic downfall and whatnot. With multiple deaths around the globe, biological wars and explosions in different countries, the world has almost witnessed an apocalypse. Looks like this is the exact year our ancestors have been warning us about for ages. From the Australian bushfire to the ice turning green in Antarctica, let's check out some of the disasters that took place this year so far. Number 10. The Australian bushfire. Although this incident started back in 2019, it continued to be a major part of 2020. Australia normally faces forest fires due to extremely high temperatures and changing global temperature, but they have never seen one as wild as this one. This specific bushfire continued for almost a year, from June 2019 to May 2020. Famously known as the Black Summer, the Australian bushfire managed to burn down about 18.6 million hectares of land, while it destroyed about 5,900 buildings. About 34 people lost their lives to the never-ending fire, while nearly 3 billion species of terrestrial vertebrates, most of which were reptiles, have been affected to the extent that some endangered species may be driven to extinction. Number 9. Volcano eruption in the Philippines. To make this year even more memorable, the world had to witness the second most active volcano in the Philippines erupting after more than 4 decades. The Taal volcano has a record of a total of 34 historical eruptions, all of which were concentrated on Volcano Island. However, this year on the 12th of January, it started rumbling, followed by an eruption, and sprayed ash dust over a distance as far as 100 kilometers away. Ash falls and volcanic thunderstorms were reported, and forced evacuations of about 300,000 people were made instantly. About 6,000 people lost their lives in the eruption, while the volcano spewed ashes all the way to the Calabazon, Metro Manila, some parts of central Luzon, and Pangasinan. On February the 13th, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council and the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology reported a total of 2,484 volcanic tectonic earthquakes in the vicinity of the volcano, 176 of which were felt. The Philippines is still recovering from the volcanic eruption, with several countries sending in domestic aid. Number 8. Earthquakes everywhere. Talking about the strong movements in the tectonic plates and rising temperatures in the core of the Earth, the earthquakes this year have not caused any less destruction. So far, there have been 45 earthquakes characterized over 6 magnitudes, while Jamaica and Russia received the worst hit, with earthquakes over magnitude 7. The earthquake that hit Turkey on January the 24th is said to be the deadliest, as it claimed the loss of 41 lives after an earthquake of 6.7 magnitudes. Following Turkey, we have Mexico, Oaxaca, Iran, and Western Azerbaijan on the list, with a total of 10 deaths in each area. While Mexico and Oaxaca got hit by an earthquake of 7.4 magnitude, Iran and Western Azerbaijan received a shock of 5.8 magnitude, and both recorded loss of human lives. Other than these, earthquakes with a larger magnitude hit areas like the Caribbean on the 28th of January 2020 with a magnitude of 7.7, Alaska on the 22nd of July 2020 with a magnitude of 7.8, and Russia on the 13th of February 2020 with a magnitude of 7, along with many other hits in various places, causing a lot of damage in most of the places. At number 7, we have Cyclone Amphan in India and Bangladesh. Cyclone Amphan created panic in West Bengal and Odisha in May, leaving behind trails of devastation. The meteorological department labeled the cyclone as a highly intense cyclone storm, as it caused landslides on a large scale in both states, along with heavy rainfall, gust windows, and lightning, damaging everything that got in its way, leaving chilling visuals all over. The super cyclone reportedly killed 12 people in Bengal, while power supply and telephone network failure also hit the country, just adding to the number of problems people were already facing. At number 6, we have forest fires in Uttarakhand, India. Forest fires are one of the most dangerous incidents, as getting hold of them can be quite a task. Just like the Australian bushfire, India experienced a devastating forest fire in Uttarakhand for 4 whole days with over 46 bushfires. As a result of the increase in temperature due to global warming, the world has been witnessing extreme forest fires. Reportedly, only 2 people lost their lives in the fire, but a lot of people lost their property and everything they had. A report of the Times of India has stated that Uttarakhand has lost nearly 51.43 hectares of forest cover, and the Forest Department alone has incurred a loss of over 1 lakh. Number 5. Floods in Assam, India. Climate change causes extreme weather like extremely hot or extremely cold temperatures, or putting different areas in either drought or heavy rainfall, leading to a flood. The same is the case in India, due to heavy rains in many parts of Assam, the F-hand. According to reports, over 30,000 people in 5 out of 33 districts are affected by the flood. A total of 128 villages in 8 revenue circles of Lakhimpur, Dibrugarh, Darang, and Golpara districts were affected, according to the reports from Assam State Disaster Management Authority. Crops and domestic animals have also been affected by this, making lives more difficult for the natives. Number 4. Locust swarms in East Africa and parts of India and Asia. Millions of desert locusts have made their way into different parts of the world which are not a threat to human life. Well, at least not directly. According to the reports, this could be one of the worst pest attacks in over 26 years. To give a better idea of the swarm, desert locusts are considered to be the most catastrophic migratory pest globally, and just a 1 square kilometer swarm in one day can eat as much food as 35,000 people. Not only are these insects quick breeders, but their small size can accommodate as many as 150 million locusts in just 1 square kilometer. The sudden increase in locusts has been a result of extreme climate change. The increase in temperature provides an optimum condition for the breeding and swarming of locusts. Unusually heavy rains and increased temperatures from 2019 may most likely be the cause of this attack. At number 3, we have the Mauritius Indian Ocean oil spill. Well, this one is not exactly a natural disaster, but oil spills are one of the major environmental concerns that pose a huge threat not only to marine life but human life indirectly as well. A Japanese ship named MV Wakashio, which was carrying an estimated 4,000 tons of oil, struck a coral reef that resulted in an oil spill of over 1,000 tons into the Indian Ocean, drenching water birds and reptiles in oil. Since the incident took place on a large scale, a state of emergency was declared and teams were sent to clear up the mess instantly. For the penultimate number 2, we have the snow in Antarctica turning green. Thinking of Antarctica, the first thing that comes to our minds is probably a wide space covered in a blanket of white snow topped with lazy seals and happy penguins. However, as the climates have been changing over time due to global warming, the white spot of the world is not so white anymore. Parts of the frozen continent are turning green as patches of massive algal blooms are producing over the snow. There is a scientific explanation for that. According to new research published in the journal Nature Communications, the rising temperatures around the globe are causing the snow to melt on a large scale. This condition provides the optimum temperatures for the formation of algal blooms that are known for rapidly increasing in the population of algae. These algal blooms are spreading over the area at a high rate, thus turning many areas green. The phenomenon is becoming so obvious that the white patch of Earth, Antarctica, can be seen turning green even from space. And at number 1, we have the Beirut explosion. While natural disasters have been a great part of destruction caused only in 2020 so far, man-made issues are not any less. The most recent incident, the explosion in Beirut, has caused thousands of people to lose everything they had. From property to family members, it had devastating effects on the public and the government. While the world is going through a global crisis, war is the last thing anyone would ever want. A total of 2 explosions took place on the port of Beirut on the 4th of August 2020, while the second explosion was bigger than the first, causing at least 185 deaths, 6,000 injuries, and $10 to $15 billion in property damage, leaving an estimated 300,000 people homeless.
Get started. Shalom Alaikum. Again, no one can doubt that these are powers and forces and energy, because Yah is energy. You are energy, so what do you think, how can you be energy and he not be energy? Remember it said that the spirit of Elohim hovered over the face of the waters? That word hovers, mifakefet. It means that he's living. The Creator is a living power, the eternal living power. And how could you not understand that if he is the Most High that created the universe, how can anything that's part of his powers rebel against their creator, its creator? Climate change is caused by the Most High. That's who causes climate change. And you have to realize this is the power of the creator to control the forces that you might call of nature. And let me let you know clearly, those things that we just witnessed was not done by Mother Nature. That's just man's own way of denying the Almighty. They know it's the Creator, the Most High, that's doing it. That's why sometimes at the end of those storms, they end up saying, it seems as though the hand of God has been upon us, that this is his power. Everyone knows it, but we're in denial. Settled not long ago was Australia by the British, and they had fires. Do you know how terrible the Aboriginals that live in Australia are being treated and have been treated? Do you realize they were the first migrants that came across the Bering Straits and came into the Western Hemisphere from Eastern territories? Yes, we have to know history. We have to realize that all of these things, locusts and bees now, which are under attack, because the creation is under attack. We have to realize that man is threatened and he's living in a world that is falling apart all around him. Last but not least was mentioned man's own destruction and the deaths that's caused by human beings. And just think, there are nuclear weapons sitting and waiting to destroy human existence on this planet. And you know, I heard for the first time in many years the word detente, which means that there are now 36 nations, and Israel, you should join them, in declaring and stating that all nuclear weapons on earth must and should be destroyed. Every citizen of every country who values his life, the lives of their generations in the future, should make sure that every president, prime minister, or leader of a country is not put into office unless they declare that they will get rid of nuclear weapons, which threatens the existence of all human beings on this planet. And we don't know which is the greater and the quicker hand of destruction. Are human beings destroying themselves quicker than the disasters that have been put on this planet by the Almighty, by the Most High? Storms and earthquakes called tornadoes and hurricanes, fires and all types of indignation of the wrath of the Creator, his volcanoes. And we all know, nobody knows what tomorrow's going to bring. Now that we understand the real power of God, who can stand before his heat? India experienced it. Who can stand before his cold? A few months from now, in America and other places, we'll see and understand. And I know one thing, I've already thought about it. If the precipitation that we've seen over the earlier part of this year goes into the cold weather, you will see snow piles and accumulations like you've never seen before. That's the future, because the Creator has our future in his hand. This is why this presentation is so important. The significance, the importance of knowing who God is and knowing his name. When you call and pray in your time of trouble, what name will you call on? You have to know the name of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He tells you that. See, everything that we're speaking about is predicated on the truth that's in the Old Testament of the Bible. And I know people who probably wonder, well, what about the New Testament? We can't get to that one until you deal with the first book. You have to go in sequence, because that's the key. If something is wrong, incorrect, misrepresented, inaccurate, contradictory in the New Testament, you'll only know that if you've read the original and the foundation of the Bible. And so we want you to understand there's a true chronology. Let's go to 1 Chronicles, the first chapter, and just verses 1 and 2, because I want to make this point. Chronology is the science of measuring time in fixed periods and of dating events accurately and arranging them in the order of occurrence. That's what Chronicle does. In the New Testament, you'll never find that. And that's why I want you to know, even before you get there, this foundation that I've described, the Old Testament, the Torah, has a chronological order to it. The arrangement of the events, dates, etc., are in order of occurrence. That's why you can't read the New Testament first, because it comes almost 4,000 years after the history of the Old Testament. Measuring time in fixed periods and understanding dating of the events accurately in order of the occurrence is crucial in understanding the Bible. The books of the Bible must be understood in its entirety. Each book must be understood separate and separated by its linguistics, historical, cultural differences, because there are differences in all the books. They tell a different episode of what has happened. Some of the books in the Bible, like Daniel, was part Aramaic and Hebrew. You'd have to get an Aramaic dictionary. For instance, Shemayim in Ivrit, or the Hebrew language, Ivrit being the correct term for Hebrew, which is an English word describing Ivrit, which it can't really do. And Shemayim is the word in Ivrit. In Aramaic, which is where Ivrit came from, place known as Ur of the Chaldees, they had the word Shemayimah and Shemayatah. The suffixes were different. Shemayimah rather than Shemayim, and Shemayatah. Anyone who gets an Aramaic dictionary can verify what I'm saying. That's why you have to know languages and get into languages to understand the proper way to understand the Old Testament and then the entire Bible. These writings and differences are known as the Hebrew writings and the Greek writings. They must be read independently of one another. And then you'll see whether or not some of the statements that people have made, whether they're true or false. Is there a connection? Did God change? Did the Sabbath day change from the seventh day to the first day? You'll only know that if you read the book in its entirety, get the foundation, and understand that some things settled by the Creator can never be changed. He told us that. He even said, don't add anything to his law and don't take anything or diminish anything from it. In Chronicles, the first chapter, verses 1 and 2. And then we're going to read 2 Chronicles, 36th chapter, 2 and 22 to 23. What will we see? That This book will describe and show you that Adam is the beginning of the Bible. And then when we end, we're going to see in Chronicles, 2 Chronicles 36th chapter, what is the ending history of the Old Testament. Just read verses 1 and 2, if you would, and you could go to verse 4. Torah. We find in Chronicles, 1st chapter, verse 1, these words. Adam, shaped, was
Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Yared.
Enoch,
Methuselah, Lamech, Noach, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
and we could stop there. We started out showing genealogy with Ham, Shem, and Japheth because genealogy is very important in understanding the Bible. So where did the book of Chronicles, which is sort of like a summary of the Bible, it began in 1st Chronicles, which is that timeline that we just spoke about, measuring the events from the beginning in fixed periods, and of course, in the order of their occurrence. Adam and Eve were born first, the creation. That's the sequence of where the Bible begins. And so we get to the genealogy and the timelines. We can see here on the screen that we have Adam again, and Adam is the beginning. And if you go back from BC, it's saying that the Bible timeline from Adam to the close of Malachi is approximately 4,000 years. From Adam to Abraham is approximately 2,000 years. Down at the bottom here, we can see Abraham and 2,000. You have to understand this. This is very important. It's significant to understanding the Bible. It's a history book. It's not about religion. It has nothing to do with Christianity. It has nothing to do with Islam. Nothing about Hinduism is in there. It's a story about a people called Israel, and their interaction with other nations is why you will have other people mentioned in the course of these events that take place over 4,000 year period. This is information, facts that can be verified. And so no one can doubt and dispute that the Old Testament and New Testament were written in different languages. I'll give you something. If a Hebrew man, woman, met a Greek man or woman, and they tried to have a conversation in Hebrew and in Greek, neither would understand a single thing that the other person was talking about. If they mentioned about God in Greek, the word for God in the Greek would be totally different. A Hebrew wouldn't know what they were talking about because gods, there were many gods among the Greeks. Our concept of God as Hebrews, totally different. Our diet was different. Our understanding of values and principles as Hebrews differed from the Greeks and still do today. These are facts that a person must know and understand. In 2 Chronicles, the 36th chapter, verses 22 and 23, this 2 Chronicle closed out the Bible. I guarantee you that it'll be in Persia because that's the Babylonian captivity. There were the Medes and the Persians. The Medes were the first rulers of Babylon. The Chaldeans had two peoples, the Medes and the Persians. The Persians were the last ones under Cyrus. He was the last one that had rule over the Israelites in Babylon. Let's read it and prove the point. Closes out the Old Testament history.
Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of Yahweh by the mouth of Yirmiyahu might be accomplished, Yahweh stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, all the kingdoms of the earth hath Yahweh, the part of heaven, given me, and he hath charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Yehuda. Whosoever there is among you of all his people, Yahweh's power be with him. Let
In
him
other
go
words,
up.
let him go up to Jerusalem and restore the temple, because approximately 587 BC, we find that this history took place, and it preceded the rise of the Greek Empire. This fall of Persia took place with an invasion of Alexander's forces that came in and overthrew the Babylonians, the Phoenicians, Syrians, the Israelites, the Egyptians, and eventually we had Ptolemy and Cleopatra, Greece, on the throne of Egypt. It's history. It has nothing to do with religion. And this is what we must understand. So today we are summarizing a number of points, truth based on facts. The main points today that we're going over from the Old Testament, or the foundation of the understanding of the entire Bible. That's where you have to start, reading in Genesis and read in sequence, consecutively, until you finish each and every chapter and book. Line by line, precept by precept is how you have to read the Bible. So our summary will show that the Torah is the greatest book of all time. Just a review of what we've said thus far, a brief emphasis of the main points. Who is God? You have to know, if you've been watching, several names: Yehovah, Yah, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Some people call him Yahweh, Jehovah. We've said that all of these go back to Yod He, Waw He, in the Hebrew language. And the Hebrew language is not modern Hebrew, because that's another point we can make. Ancient Hebrew is the Hebrew that I read. I can read modern Hebrew as well, but you have to realize that the Bible had an original language, and that language was with symbols or letters that weren't like what we call Ivrit Kaya alphabet, the English or the modern English alphabet. The original characters and writing of Moses and the prophets and the scribes were in two different books. So on the right-hand side, you see the Torah, and that book is in ancient Hebrew. And then you see again the Angalit, Ivrit, as they say. And again, Beirut, again, Kamisha, Kadasha. In other words, new covenant. And so that you have to understand that the new covenant was not anything that Christians have said. The new covenant is just that Yah said he would put the law in the hearts of his people, that from the least to the greatest, everyone will know the Torah. That's why we in the Shabbat Israel, and I just want to tell you, I have to make mention of this school of study that I came into, a Shabbat Israel, which taught me how, and many of us, how to study the Bible. This is a tribute to all of those members who were there when I came in, because that's what started my lifetime independent research after being a part of the Shabbat Israel community. It stood for this, the mean Shabbat Israel, the restoration or return of Yisrael. That's what it was about. And that community, all its members, have made a tremendous impact and influence among Israelites globally. Most people attend church, a mosque, a synagogue, or a temple, sometimes Hindus or other temples, to study or learn a religion and its particular practices. In a Shabbat Israel, at the time I entered its doors, it contained some of the most brilliant people and courageous people that I've ever met and known. People dedicated to establishing the truth concerning our identity and heritage. That's what a Shabbat was all about. You often hear me mention Cohen Levy, but I have to let you know, We all learned from each other. It was a host of scholars in there. You've heard of Moreh Mishael, one of our greatest Hebrew scholars, Nasi Barak before him, and so many others. But Shabbat Israel was a university. It wasn't like a church. When you came to that building, you were among people committed to scholarship, to study, to research. A collective group of people committed and dedicated to research and study within the Bible. We knew and understood that the true history, culture, heritage in the Hebrew scriptures or the Bible, the Old Testament, it represented our ancestors' writings recorded over 3,000 years ago. We can prove it today, we know it. Therein, in that Old Testament, is the key to knowing our true identity, our true purpose as a people. It tells you. And finding our dignity as a people. We lost our dignity when we went into slavery. In order to be respected by others and even among ourselves, we must become a dignified people again. The laws of Yah, of the Most High, will definitely make every man, woman, and child and elder an honorable person if they live by these rules. Reading and researching the Bible to understand the truth is what each and every person should be doing, not learning someone's opinion of the Bible. Hopefully, with this presentation, you will be able to go over it and use the information to help you understand and guide you in your search for the facts that will reveal the truth of the Bible. This is how you must study the Bible. And I must tell you that it all starts at home with parents. And our people, we know our families, our children are so confused because what other people give their children at home, we haven't given to them. We haven't given them their identity. They don't learn their language at home. They don't learn their values at home. They go out and other people teach them rather than their own parents. That's only because the parents don't know who they are. You can't teach your children if you don't know. But I can tell you this, when your child enters school, and I was a teacher, and he's a so-called Black or Negro child, your child enters the classroom with national inferiority. They don't have a clue as to who they are. And every other ethnic group that comes into that educational system anywhere in the world, they come in knowing the Hispanics, the Asiatics, in particular Hispanics, because Latin-speaking people are all over South America, North America, and what have you, Central America. And they know who they are as countries with their history, with their language and linguistics, and their culture. Spanish food, Chinese food, Japanese food. The children even know what these things are, and they understand it in a very intelligent manner. So again, let's understand what we're talking about. Let's look at some of the footage, and we're going to begin with our footage on the book. Who is God is about the book, and everything that we're talking about is in the book. Start with who is God, but we know everything we're speaking about is about our book. My premise will be one book, his book, the book of the true and the living God. He, in everyone's Bible, you can verify what I'm saying. I'm going to begin in Exodus, the 6th chapter, and I will be speaking about Almighty Yah. He is God. God has to have a name, and he had a name. And the Holy Scriptures, every Bible, tells us that name. However, one of the reasons why people do not know the name of God, because a great deception is taking place in the earth. And we find that they have not only suppressed his people, but they have suppressed his name and taken Israelites into slavery. And so this truth is necessary. Who is the true God? How many are there? Because I've heard of so many in my short 7 decades on this planet, and it's short, went by so fast you don't even believe that 70 years could go so fast. Thankful, prayerful, grateful that I just never felt getting old. I just have been blessed to exercise, which we call it holy concerns in the kingdom, eating a good, healthy diet that's acceptable in the sight of Yah, trying to be a moral and a good person. All of these things contribute to life. In the Hebrew language, there are a number of words. Eloha, that's one of the ancient words, meaning powers. You have El, which means, again, power. Elohim, which is a unique word because it's the word that's used most frequently to refer to the creator of heaven and earth in the Bible in the Hebrew language. Because Elohim entails that the creator is all powers in one spiritual being. Very important to understand that. One spirit that has all control, authority over the entire universe. If anyone is short of that type of power, and add this to it, he's eternal, says the Bible. He's from everlasting to everlasting. He cannot die. He cannot be killed. He is the creator and maker of heaven and earth. What is his name? Let's go to, again, the book of Exodus, the 2nd chapter, and just read a few verses, 2 to 4. Exodus reads on this one. And Elohim spoke unto Moses, or Moshe, and said unto him, I am the Lord, Yahweh. And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, as God Almighty. In Hebrew, that's called El Shaddai. But my name, Yehovah, spelled Yod-He, Waw-He, in the Hebrew language, I made not known unto them. And I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, or Canaan, the land of their sojournings, wherein they sojourned. Important point. He calls himself Yehovah. We say Yah because that's another way we say hallelujah. When you say hallelujah, you're saying hallelujah. You're saying praise be Yah. Now, I don't care what religion you're in, when you say hallelujah, or whoever your particular deity or worship person might be, object or whatever, when you say hallelujah, you're speaking Hebrew and you're giving praise to the God of Israel. His name is Yehovah. Other places that we need to look at to see what does the Bible. Is this Cohen Michael's word? No. I'm taught by the word of Yah. In the 42nd chapter, in the 5th verse, look at these words. Read your Bible, verify. And we know that in Isaiah, it says in many places, my name. The Creator states what his name is. And you have to be a Hebrew student in order to read that name in the original tongue. And then you will know that Lord is not the name of God. God is not the name of the power that rules the universe. And so these are points and facts that require investigation, scholarship. If you just sit and let someone tell you what the truth is, they can tell you anything. If you have opinions as your understanding, you're going to miss the truth of who is the true and living power that rules the universe. And so, again, his name is Yehovah. We've established that, and because this is only about the main points, we're going to move on to our next point, and the footage will make it clear. Gracious, what book could be greater? How would you know where all the nations came from if God didn't leave in Moses' possession the ancient genealogy, going from Adam to Eve? Then you go in that genealogy in the first chapter of Genesis, and they tell you who Adam's son was. And they'll tell you about Cain and Abel, and Cain slew Abel. Every Bible scholar will read in Exodus how Moses went up to Mount Sinai, spent 40 days and 40 nights there. And if you reject this premise, throw Christianity out the window, throw Islam out the window, because they're all predicated on these facts. In the Quran, they call it Musa, is known as Moses. As I told you earlier, Christians, Catholics, identify 73 books, and some Protestants also recognize 73 books. We're comparing religions. Maybe you don't know this fact. Don't believe me. Here's the fact. The first of the greatest 3 religions on earth today, which are Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And they came into existence in that order as religions. The Jewish religion was the first one established. It was established on the heritage of the Israelites in the Bible. They converted and based their religion on the laws that are in the Old Testament.
The top 10 best-selling books in history. Number 10, Dan Brown, Da Vinci Code, 80 million copies. Starting with a bestseller from 15 years and the book that made Dan Brown a best-selling author, The Da Vinci Code. Yes, you've definitely heard about this famous book that was released back in 2003. It's been 15 years since then, and the book is still making people doubt the church and Jesus Christ. Number 9, H. Rider Haggard, She, A History of Adventure, 83 million copies. Number 8, C.S. Lewis, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, 85 million copies. Because we like a little fantasy sprinkled here and there and a damn good story, we have the best childhood story by C.S. Lewis, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Number 7, Zhao Chuqin, The Dream of the Red Chamber, 100 million copies. Number 6, J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, 120 million copies. We couldn't have done this ranking without mentioning this contemporary female writer. J.K. Rowling is the kind of girl boss that makes other females be more confident and follow their dreams. Number 5, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, The Little Prince, 140 million copies. Getting closer to number 1, we stumble upon another cute children's book, The Little Prince, or Le Petit Prince, as so many call it by its original French name. Number 4, J.R.R. Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings series, 150 million copies. We all remember the 2003 Oscar Awards ceremony when The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King took home no more than 11 Oscars, therefore holding the record for the biggest Oscar sweep of all time. Number 3, Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities, 200 million copies. Classics like Charles Dickens will always have a special place in everyone's heart, and The Tale of Two Cities is certainly that one book that defined the English literature and gave us one of the best characters ever. Number 2, Miguel de Cervantes, Don Quixote, 500 million copies. As always, the second to last story and author is one that will never die. If you've never heard about this book, then maybe you do live under a rock or simply don't read. Don Quixote is the story of a nobleman, or hidalgo as they're called in Spain, and his journey to bring back chivalry. The story is cited by many people and fellow writers as a stepping stone to Western literature and the best ever written book. Don Quixote also inspired a lot of movie characters and cartoons, even though the book was released in 1605 by Miguel de Cervantes. His book is viewed as the most influential work of literature from the Spanish Golden Age, and possibly the entire country. A lot of statues with Don Quixote are placed throughout Spain and all over the world. Number 1. The Bible. Over 5 billion copies. We hope you don't think that this list of best-selling books would go down without the Holy Bible. Out of all the books in the world that have been written, the Bible is by far the most popular, but that might be because for a long time, it was the only thing being printed with a printing press. It's been translated in all languages and dialects and can be found in most households. The Quran is also very popular and widely distributed, but the Bible and Christianity reached more people. There are Christians in China and African countries, so it's safe to say that it's the most popular religion in the world. Since the Holy Bible has been around for so many years and the fact the church distributes plenty of copies to people, it makes it hard to count all of the Bibles that have been distributed so far. The Guinness...
Notice that presentation was culturally biased. Do you realize that all the books presented didn't have one African author, one Black author, except even when they took the Bible and we're the author of the Old Testament that drives the Bible, they had a big cross up there on top of that Bible to let you know that it's, again, culturally biased. Christianity is not the beginning of truth. In fact, religions or religious beliefs and teachings teach people to interpret rather than understand the Old Testament. That's the problem. They keep interpreting something that really needs to be read and simply understood upon its context. The Hebrew scriptures are the writings in the Old Testament. This is because Christians have to use this idea of changing the Bible through its beliefs because that's the only way they can support their notion that the original truth of the Creator in the Old Testament has been changed through Greek writings in the New Testament. That's just a falsehood. You have to read to see that they just don't have a connection. As I said, they're two different languages, two different cultures, two different gods. In fact, when the Greeks come into the picture, the Israelites had fled into Africa and not into Europe to become Jews. They fled into Africa to become Ashanti, Igbos, Zulus in South Africa, the Bantu in Tanzania, which Bantu in Arabic gives you Swahili because that's how you get a Swahili language, and the Bantu are Israelites. You have to know history. You have to know geography. You have to know and understand what happens in terms of genealogy. These are points so very important in understanding the Bible. If you're an Israelite and you're listening to me today, your approach to reading the Old Testament must be different. Why? Because that's your ancestors' writing. You have to read the Bible, that part of the Bible, the Old Testament, as though you're reading your own history and the history of your foreparents, translated from Hebrew into other languages. You must also know, if you're a scholar of the Bible, that a New Testament King James Version reads differently than a Hebrew accurately translated Bible would read. That's why we suggest the Holy Scriptures. Don't buy that King James Version. It's culturally biased. It's going to have words in there to throw you off and to not allow you to understand the correct translation of the Bible. This is not his story. It's your story when you're reading the Bible. The Old Testament is your story, our story. It's a chronological narration of who we are, where we came from, how we got to this present situation and circumstance we find ourselves, and explains it all. And where we're going, what our future has in store for us. It's right in the prophecies in the Bible. Knowing nationality answers all the questions that a Negro is looking for. It'll tell you what your language is if you find the right nationality. Just find out what your nationality is, you get your language. It comes, you inherit it with your nationality. Your diet is inherited. Your land is a part of the inheritance that comes with knowing who you are. That's why we're lost as a people. I may know. Thousands and hundreds of thousands of other Israelites know, but in the billions, which we are, in the billions all around the world, we don't know it. It was a punishment that the Bible describes from the Creator, and it took away our knowledge of self. Why? Because we broke the law. And this is where we come to the portion on the law, to let you know that we broke the law. The law wasn't done away with. We were done away with. We were sent into slavery. The law remains. You still can't lie. You still can't cheat. You still cannot murder in the sight of God. You cannot violate the Shabbat day. All of those laws remain intact. Its people went into slavery. That's why we asked the question and had to answer it. Is the Creator's law abolished or done away? Our presentation clearly points to the facts. It's eternal law. It can never be done away with. Let's look at the portion on the law. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal because you're stealing from another person. That's not government. That's not what you call, again, a law that's dealing with the government, a public law. These are personal matters. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. It's called perjury in the court. We had a perjury law. Where did they get it from? They got it from us or we got it from them? God knows best. He's the most intelligent one. He gave all of these principles, and there's not a country on earth in Western society that don't have some of the laws of God in the Torah that was given to Moses in their constitution. Started out with speaking about the Creator as the author of the greatest book ever written, and that is the Torah itself given to Moses on Mount Sinai. Strangely enough, by the hand of the Creator, this day of Yom Teruah and the season that comes with the month of Itanim is also about the law, because we've been told that the law has been done away with. And why are Jewish people announcing, and the media is announcing about Yom Teruah, called the Jewish Day of Blowing of the Horn or the Jewish New Year? Why are they preparing for Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, if the law is done away with? Why are Jews also going to be setting up on Eastern Parkway in the land of Israel, and Eastern Parkway is in Brooklyn, New York, if you don't know? There'll be those booths, temporary dwelling places, on their verandas, terraces, in their homes, in their temples, all around the world. If the law is done away with, why are the Jews still doing the laws that are in the Bible? And how could it be done away with or abolished if Jews have been keeping the laws that Yah gave to Moses on Mount Sinai for centuries? Centuries after we, the true Israelites, were sent into slavery or into captivity. A very important point. The greatest book of all, taking us back to the Torah, because that's how we're being judged. We all, I am, you are and all people around the world are being judged by the Torah. It's the everlasting covenant, the everlasting constitution for the entire earth. We have to understand that. The Creator wrote the Constitution for mankind. It wasn't written by a human being. It didn't come down through a flesh genealogy. The Torah came down from heaven and was given to us. And exactly, the Torah is the direct word of the Creator to the people of Israel. That's so important for all of you who are listening, who are of the seed of Israel. We urge everyone who reads the Bible on earth to simply compare your understanding of the facts in the Bible with this presentation. The approach taken in sharing this information has no religious connotation whatsoever, nor is it based on any religious doctrine, but rather is based upon scholarship within the Old Testament, chronology, and Hebraic understanding exclusively. We read the Hebrew language and our scholarship. You know, I can never acknowledge all the people that have had an influence on my learning and so many others. We have our brother Yosef, who started Cohane. He and Cohane Levi started out together. Gevertit Ora, Gevertit Suda. There's so many, I just can never name them all. I mean, you have to know Sar Shimon, Gevertit Kakma. I mean, the list just goes on and on. That's why when you start reading names, you just know you're going to get in problems because there's so many that's going to not be mentioned. Every person that I met in New York City, you may not think so, but you taught me something. All of those communities, that's why I love them all of them. They're just the place and the people who produced me. And through all of that scholarship, it's now being presented to others through members of the Shabbat Israel who are still teaching and spreading this truth and this knowledge. We've covered so many of the main points, and certainly, if you recall the book, The Name of God, what is his name, the greatest book of all time, the law, is it done away with? And finally, we close out with the most important point, and we make it again. If you do not know who the people are in the Bible, and you have a misconception of who these people are, you are not going to understand the Bible. If you think they're Europeans, if you think they're Japanese or Chinese or anyone else, the original people in Africa and Israel, Northeast Africa, you will not come up with the proper understanding of the Bible. And that is why so many people are confused, because they've missed these main points. The importance of the Torah and the law, the first 5 books of the Bible. The importance of knowing who God is, that he's the creator and maker of heaven and earth, and that he has a name that's in the Bible, in the Hebrew tongue. There's the importance of knowing that those laws, honor your mother and father. How can you that's probably why we have problems on this earth today, because the protocol for respect has been broken down. Children just don't have respect for parents or elders the way the Most High God intended for us to have that respect. And the older generations know it, and the younger generations have moved away from all those real values. I call them Southern values, country folk values, not the new modern city, get smart, stupid type of values that we've adopted, thinking we're wise by moving into cities. We need to become a simple people again and go back to the basics of having good manners and being nice. And that's what the Lord teaches you. And so again, we want to look at the footage on who are the true Israelites, the chosen people of God in the Bible. Well, who are the real children of Israel? That's the question. The Palestinians claim Israel. Arabs, Ishmael says he's the firstborn, and that's not Yitzchak, but that Ishmael is really the chosen one of Abraham. They say so. We just put in what people have said. I've met some of them. All of them don't say that, but they're Muslims who say that. Jews, European Jews, Polish Jews, Spanish people, Spanish Jews, French Jews, English Jews, Portuguese Jews, Russian Jews, Czechoslovakian Jews, Hungarian Jews, German Jews, all say that they have converted, they are the children of Israel. Controversy. The Hebrew Israelites worldwide, Rastafarians say they're the Hebrew Israelites. 12 tribes. The Igbos, as we looked at last week, they say they're connected with Israel. The Ashanti of Ghana, the Zulu of South Africa, the Falasa Beta of Israel, some of whom we're going to look at as we're going forward today and as we continue to present the facts. Many of the Igbos of Nigeria know that they are the indigenous, and not only in terms of Nigerian as being Hebrew, but practitioners of Hebrew culture, but all of them know and understand that they are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
In the world, and every day within this dizzying frenzy, thousands stop what they're doing for Mincha, the traditional Jewish afternoon prayer. This community of Nigerian Jews belongs to the country's third ethnic group, the Igbo. They claim to be descendants of a lost tribe of Israel, and today observe religious practices very similar to rabbinical Judaism.
My name is Rabbi Gershom Sizom, and I'm the spiritual leader of the Abayudaya Jewish community of Uganda. Abayudaya is a Luganda word which refers to the Jewish people as the people of Judah. Abayudaya.
And we've made the point that Yehuda is the word from which Jews and Jewish have derived, and it has nothing to do with the 12 sons of Jacob or the 12 tribes or families of Israel. Every Bible proves this to be true. Just need to look at the names of the sons of Jacob, and you'll never find Jew there. You'll find Reuben. Many times in the Caribbean, people have the name Reuben, Benjamin. All over Africa, you find the same names that are among the children, Levi, because we are people of the Bible. We related to climbing Jacob's ladder. We always related to Ezekiel and the wheel. We related as a people in slavery to the Old Testament, the Jordan River. That's what we knew. We didn't know Christianity. The Christian teachings were given to us by missionaries that came into the colonial territories and taught us Christianity. And Catholicism is the mother of all Christianity. And of course, we have the Baptist, the Protestant, and all the other denominations. And some people want to know, well, why do Israelites have different teachings? Because it's 12 different families sent into slavery among the Spanish, the French, the Dutch. We were mixed up and our minds were mixed up. And so we're coming back and working all of these things out around the world, trying to figure out the truth about who we are and what our purpose is on this earth. And so everywhere we're in search of these facts. You know, a child, I don't think there's a Black person that in their deep inner self has not asked the question about who am I and what's my identity, and the understanding that would make all of this are the laws for me. All of this is why we're confused and we're searching to find out who we are.
I know that. The term African American is what the white man has pinned on them. Basically, I feel to try to keep hiding their true identity. They want them to think they're African. so they won't find out who they really are. So I know, and I wanted to clarify that I know the black people here are the true Hebrew Israelites. I know that. So let me just get that out there and clarify that. Also, something interesting that some people may not know is that actually Africans, they don't like the black race that's over here. They don't like them. They hate them. And the only conclusion that I can come to is that because the Africans know that they're the true Hebrew Israelites. They know they're the chosen people of God. So therefore they hate them. That's the only reason, the only conclusion that I can come to. So I just wanted to clarify that I do know that they are not African. Just because the white man got them from the continent that we now know as Africa doesn't make them African. I mean, okay, I live in Babylon to Timbuktu, and here on page 84, it says, in the year 65, 1 million Jews fled and Canaanites. So anybody who wants to try to say that
because you are our saviors, you're the one that was chosen by Yahweh to live in this land, not the Jewish people, it's you. You were stolen from Africa, they deceived you, they told you that you are slaves, but you actually the children of Israel. And it's time just to come back. Come for your people, come back for us, come back for the whole Gentiles, because only you gonna save us. So please come back to Zion.
Let's look at the footage on Dimona Israel and see if we can learn and understand how significant this is to have a presence in Israel. The title of this is called 49 Years to Eternity. It's a nucleus of our presence, because if we had no one in Israel, which one of you would lead us back to Israel? Time won't permit us to show all the footage, and hopefully you'll remember our very strong community in Dimona, Israel, and throughout the Holy Land, because we're all over that land today. And we're returning, we're continuously returning. And if you know, this last person, the female that spoke, said that Africans hate us. No, they don't. In fact, there's a call and return by Ghana government, the president, Nigeria, Kenya, all across the continent. They're acknowledging their role in sending their brothers and sisters into the Western Hemisphere, into slavery. And now they're calling us and welcoming us back to the continent of Africa. And so we must understand, even Europeans. That's why I told you it's not a black or white thing. This is about truth. And there are truthful Europeans that know who we are, and they're not afraid to tell us and to say it. So we want you to know, again, the distance between the land of Israel and the land of Europe, and their culture and history does not agree with that which is within the Bible. Diet. They don't have a diet that's a Mediterranean diet. Europeans and European Jews from Poland and Czechoslovakia, they have a diet that is a non-African or non-Israelite diet, non-Torah diet, until they convert to the religion. So we hope that our message and our summary points everyone on this planet to a truth that you will investigate. The approach taken in sharing this information has no religious connotation, as we've said. The information within the New Testament, which are Greek ideas and thoughts, there are Greek opinions, Greek writings, can only be considered after having read and digested and understood the Old Testament, which is approximately 4,000 years of original facts and truth recorded from the beginning of creation to the close of the Old Testament. This is an important fact that everyone must know and understand. As we begin to close out, today won't permit us, but hopefully next week we want to begin with answering some questions about our presentation. One of the questions that we want to present and answer is, and explain is, what's the difference between Hebrews, Hebrew Israelites, African Hebrew Israelites as a term, Israelites, Black Hebrew Israelites? I want to explain all of those. I would like to explain, which today doesn't give us time to do so, are we called camps, congregations, communities, as gatherings around the world? What's the terms that we use and why? Is there a mystery about Israelites? And what are our beliefs or teachings? I'm going to make it clear. What are our teachings? And again, we want to make it clear that we don't believe we're Israelites. We don't claim to be Israelites. We know that we are Hebrew Israelites. We want to make it known that we do have differences. We'll explain why those differences exist amongst the Rastafarian community, the Hebrew Israelite community, the people of Ghana, the Falasha, the Igbos of Nigeria, and our experiences, as I will explain, will let us know why we have these differences. Why do Hebrew Israelites have different teachings? Sunni Muslims and Shiite Muslims have different teachings. Different branches of Catholic or Christianity have different teachings. That's nothing that indicates that we disagree as to who we are as a people. We all agree that we're the seed of Abraham, the seed of Isaac, the seed of Jacob, and we're proud to say that we're the chosen people of Almighty God. Doesn't make us better than anyone else. You can look at our condition and see that that's a fact. Look at us around the world. We're punished by the Creator. But we want to make this fact known. We're the chosen people, and we're proud to be. We're ashamed and we're sorry, as the final song will indicate. We say, forgive us, Yah. We even ask the planet. We apologize for breaking the laws, because had we stayed aligned with our purpose, everyone would be serving the true and living God and living a righteous lifestyle based on the Torah. I want to thank all of our technicians, Chronology. You don't see them, the people who make this possible. Ak Mensa, again, Misharet, Shemuel, Dakota Talia, Dakota Malka, and all of these are the people that work to see and have seen that these programs have come forth each and every week. And I can't thank them enough, but above all, I thank the Creator. Remaining, we will close with pictures of Israelites around the diaspora and go into our closing song. Once again, I thank each and every one of you for listening and asking you to share, subscribe, and next week we'll have something similar to a question and answer period, or taking our questions from offline if you have any that you'd like us to address. And again, providing scriptures and footage to support it. Let's go to our footage. Again, Shalom Aleichem, Yevareka Yehovah, Yeshvareka, Ya'ir Yehovah Panayo Aleka Wikuneka, Yisa Yehovah Panayo Aleka, Wayasim Leka Shalom. May the Holy One of Israel bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May Yehovah lift up his countenance upon thee and grant thee peace. Hallelujah.
a religion where we're making the wrong decision, running away from what was right. So deep in the pit of evil, cannot see the light. Look where we are now. We let our guard down, cursed by our Father, we're being slaughtered. Oh God, please save me. Been put in slavery. First we were restless, and now we're helpless. So please take us back, our merciful Father. We know you turn your back on all the evil by your people. We know we gonna try to stop the sinning. So turn around and face your children, Yahweh. To you I pray, I pray. Silaklanu, 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 so please take us back, my merciful Father. We know you turn your back on all the evil by your people. We know we gonna try to stop the sinning. So turn around and face your children, Yahweh. You I pray, I pray. We went to the market of religion. Our own culture, we left it.
Hallelujah.